we've been on the ball for a while. This is pretty good.
Yeah.
Number 4,
Nice.
live show
Number
4 of
four.
season 2, episode 4.
Right. I was like, what are you talking about again? What's 4 for what now? Oh,
Wait, are we
4
live?
consecutive times in a row. I
I'm
think
looking-
so.
I'm looking at the YouTube thing. It's not going yet. Oh, there it is. I'm
Yeah,
seeing something.
It kicks in. It takes in a bit to kick in. So okay, it's running through my feet now. Oh, we have automated captions. That's cool.
Okay.
All right. If anyone's on, let us know in the chat. Say hi. Say what's up.
I saw somebody.
We are a little. Mr. Camera Junkie is on. Dennison Photo. Warren E. What's up?
What's going on, folks?
How's it going? All right, we're earlier than usual today. 6:46, 15 minutes before the actual 7 o'clock time. So it's what we try to strive for. But yeah, it takes us 4 lives to get this right. So
hey, Jason, it's the real pre-show. It's back. The pre-show's back. Hopefully.
Yeah, the real pre-show is back. Monday live pre-show. You guys missed this? I miss it.
Nobody does.
Let's go. What is going on? Billy, Michael, Christopher, Chris Smith. Oh my God, there's the comments. All right, I guess YouTube is finally pushing it out to people. Xer Media, Mavic Air 2. Thank you for letting us know. We actually put up the article, so we'll probably talk a little bit about it. But we are two inexperienced drone pilots, so
we might even talk about our experiences with it. So they can laugh at us about it.
The chat on the actual V Live isn't actually moving on my end, so I'm having to
move it on mine. It's not moving on mine either.
This is bad.
This is bad.
V Live is messing up.
V Live, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna have to put my phone up, so it looks like I'm not. Okay, I'm just gonna prop my phone somewhere here. So
there you go. Dennison Photography says, hear you guys both loud and clear. Awesome.
That's great.
Go ahead, Danny.
Are we potato quality? That is the real true essence of this situation. Are we in potato mode right now?
That's good. Good to know that the sound is working. And wow. Okay. So the chat is finally going. And Joseph Baker already dropped in that $9.99 super chat donation right before 7 p.m. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. We hope we don't disappoint you with today's show.
We never disappoint, Jason. We never disappoint.
Damn.
I Only like ourselves. Positivity. Only ourselves.
I like that.
We never disappoint anybody else.
That's the optimism I'm subscribed to, Danny.
Oh no, it retracted the statement. It's not good.
$9.99 message retracted.
That's not good. I'm a little worried now.
He didn't retract the super chat donation, so we're good.
Not yet. It could happen soon.
The super chat donation is it's definitely funding this insane fee that B Live is charging us to try to get 2 of us on the screen at the same time, but it's okay.
It's worth it. I don't understand how difficult it is and how Google just doesn't want to do it. It's ridiculous. It's so much effort.
Yeah, I know. Let's see here. Mr. Camera Junkie says potato mode. LOL. Dennison says potato quality. There we go.
Yes,
that's the quality that you've all come to know and expect.
Let me change my output back to 144p. Let me get to that.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, we have an option for 3. I have it says 360, 480, or 720. So if things go bad, I'll jump back to potato quality.
Is anyone watching us on their TV? Let us know. I remember when we were doing Monday Live podcasts like last year before the whole hiatus thing, and there are a couple of people who are like, "We're watching you on a TV right now," and we're like, "Why?" We're outputting 720p, and you're watching it on your 4K monitor or 4K TV.
Some people just want to watch 2 people just talk about some camera stuff and tech stuff on their TV. Can't blame them.
Wow. We're a little slow on the camera news, guys. So like we've been saying for the past couple of lives, we're going to be experimenting with some of the topics that we're talking about. So hopefully you guys enjoy. And hopefully we can still put on some good shows with you guys, regardless of the camera topics in general.
Right.
Yeah. Woo. Let's see here. It says, Zachary James Morris, how can you top the R5 show? Well, We'll talk. We'll deliberate today. We'll talk a
Hey,
little bit about
hey. I
Oh, okay.
say the announcement of the A7 III was one of our best shows we've ever done. For those that remember that one from the Las Vegas day, that was a good one.
Luxor.
That Luxor. That the EOS R5 had nothing on that one. So
yeah,
that was a really good one. Hey, you know what? It could happen again. We'll talk about it when the show starts.
Yeah, totally. Just letting you guys know, if you guys hear early in the chat right now, if you check the description box below, I do have a link to the official Monday Live YouTube channel where you'll catch the post live of Monday Live on that channel instead of this channel right here. And we might do some highlight bits, you know, it really depends on where this whole Monday Live takes us. But if you want to catch Monday Live, if you miss Monday Live whenever, just know that there's an official YouTube channel that you can go back to and watch. So if you check the description box below, please subscribe and show your support.
There you go. And also, don't forget to drop a like on the video. We'd really appreciate it. Counteract some of the thumbs down every now and then it happens, but definitely drop a like. We appreciate that.
What do you mean? There's no dislike right now, Dan. Please don't scare me.
I don't want to look.
Alex Sandoval, quality looks good. Excellent.
That's not good. That's not good, Alex. It should be worse.
I'm sorry. This is not the potato quality you're subscribed to. Let's see here. People are reporting that the Mavic Air is officially launched.
Why is it always got to be on Mondays? What's the deal?
Well, it's Tuesday over there, I guess. Let me see this. All of a sudden, there's a
DJI Mavic Air 2 8K hyper. Oh, should we save it for later?
We'll save it for later. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on B&H.
Really up?
I'm looking at it at B&H right now, and I'm seeing some stuff going on here with this little drone.
Let me just X out our rumor website. This is an official news now.
I like how it's official. Unbelievable.
Dang, I can't. Okay, I'm just gonna pull it up on B&H.
Yeah, I think that'll be better that way.
Don't come to us for official news, guys. We're just here talking. Two dudes talking out of their rooms. Let's see here. Eli says about to check out with the Sigma 105 1.4. $30, $430 off. It's too tempting.
Whew. It's very tempting.
Don't do it. Don't do it. MBAC, I make travel videos, 6400. I'm considering the 16 to 55, but then I bought the FE 16 to 35 f1.4.
Wait, whoa, 1.4.
But much faster. There isn't a 16 to 35 f1.4, but if you're talking about between, yeah, I mean, if it's between the two, it's equal to the focal length, but much faster. Which lens would you? Yeah, there isn't an f1.4. They're both 2.8. Unless you are planning on upgrading to a full frame.
Right. I think the only benefit is that full frame jump between that scenario. If you're looking at those two options right now, I think if you have zero plans to go full frame, the 16 to 55 would be a much better option. You're not getting any benefit of going to the 16 to 35 because the sensor's not covering that whole piece of glass. So you may not fully benefit from it at all. And you're losing some focal length. So if you think you might go full frame.
Cool. Justin Young says, good evening. Alex Sandoval says, pre-order the Tamron 70 to 180, hoping it blows my mind.
I was looking at it.
I didn't even get a chance to do it.
I was looking at it. I was like, man, do a pre-order. Do it. I'll just wait.
Let's see here. Maiko Policio. Hey, got the 6000. Was thinking about getting the 24 millimeter. Thoughts on the Tamron 24 millimeter? We haven't tested it out on our end, but from what I can tell you, the focus is a little slower than most, but you do have that macro capability. Not really macro, but close focusing capability. With that 24, it'll be like a 35 on a 6000. I don't think it's too bad if you're not too autofocus reliant. And it's pretty good for what is it, $300, Danny?
I think so. I think price wise, is the Sigma 16 millimeter around that price bracket, Jason? I think it's a little more.
Sigma
It is a little
16.
more.
It's a little bit more, yeah.
Depending on
But
where
you
you
have that
go and get
1.4.
it. Right. So you're going from a 2.8 to 1.4. I would still think the Sigma might be a better option if you can pony up to that one. That's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah. So if you want that 24 millimeter focal length, we're advising you get the 16 millimeter.
Right.
Let's see here. Womino, what's the latest word on the street for the A7S III? Non-existent. Zachary James, sorry to keep the R5 train going, but Canon still have plans for the EOS R6 sometime in May. We can expect the R5 to be officially announced in May. Yeah. Well, we'll talk a little bit about that today, but not too much. We're going to be focusing more on the upcoming quote unquote Sony live stream.
Not gonna lie, Jason, I've been looking at some Canon lenses, Canon RF lenses, and I'm like, oh man.
Get out.
Let me get my little Sony sticker going there. I mean Canon. Sorry, Canon.
Nice. Alvi Anso, which do you recommend between the 35-1.8 or the Sigma 35 1.4? I'm gonna go with the 35-1.8. You get that native focusing, so it's gonna be better than the Sigma 35 1.4 because that's not really developed for mirrorless cameras. It's just kind of remounted to fit the E-mount.
I would say if what you're doing doesn't require a lot of critical focusing, not a lot of fast moving, Sigma 35 is not a bad option. But if you, like Jason mentioned, the 35, the Sony variant is also a good, just kind of good fallback with the autofocus. I do like the Sigma 35 1.4 though over the Sony FE. Just saying.
Jim Penn at Jason Vong at that one camera guy. Haven't seen you bums in a while. Let's see. It's the fourth show, Jim. It's the fourth show. How have you not seen us? We've been doing this for 4 shows already.
Season 2, episode 4. That's where we're at right now, folks.
There's it was posted on Monday Live Rumors.com that this might be the last show. So sorry, guys.
Oh no, unbelievable.
It was rated an ML5, highly rated rumor that we're going off the air after tonight. Neo God 29. The question is, who's buying a camera this year? What if you bought a camera already?
I haven't bought a camera this particular year yet, so I have.
When did you buy the A7R? Oh wait, you bought the A7R4 in November.
Yes. So all I would say is the only thing that piques my interest right now, I will save it. We'll wait on that.
Sorry, guys. So we're still in pre-show mode right now. Official show starts at 7 p.m. Alex Sandoval. Looks like Danny moved the 400 f2.8. That's an expensive paperweight.
I forgot. Just rolled away.
Let's see here. The Poets. I did a video for my channel showing top 15 YouTubers, and you were on the list. Thank you. Thank you so much. I used the RX 107 and would like to know your thoughts on that camera. I love it. It's one of my favorite point and shoot cameras for what it can do.
I mean, I like that series. It's a nice series.
Thank goodness for the mic jack. Oh my God. I was recording a little video the other day and I was just like, oh, it's good to have a tiny compact camera with a giant mic on it. I had it set up. I had to dig it out. Whatever. It's fine. We're about to start the show. So maybe I'll pull it up later if it comes up again. The Everyday Dad's here.
What's going on, man?
Welcome, Everyday Dad.
I will
never stop buying camera.
Oh God. It's never ending.
I wish I had your job, Everyday Dad, just to be an everyday dad.
Oh,
and buy cameras.
What do you mean, Jason? What are you talking about, Jason?
Woo! That came out wrong. Anyways, guys, it is 7 p.m. Welcome back to another Monday Live. This is the 4th Monday Live in a row, hosted by me, Jason Vong, and Mr. That One Camera Guy right there.
Yes.
So yeah, just letting you guys know, if you guys are happen to miss a Monday Live, we are going to be uploading it to an official Monday Live channel. That's right. Finally, after how many years of doing this, we are having another remote YouTube channel where you can access all of our Monday Lives. Well, some will make it onto that channel, but if you find the link in the description box below, click subscribe, show support. We were definitely thinking about introducing some new content there as well, but for the most part, you'll catch some of the relives or the reruns of the Monday Lives there, and as well as segmented pieces for any of the talking points that we might potentially have in the future. So definitely check out the Monday Live official YouTube channel. Again, it is in the description box below.
So we're doing hashtag new gear, Jason.
We are doing hashtag new gear. I was like, what are we doing again? But that's Monday Live for you guys. Hashtag new gear. We're going to do it for about 5-10 minutes, and then we're going to jump right into our news topic for the week. Let us know, hashtag new gear, hashtag old gear, hashtag quarantine gear, whatever gear that you're using within the last week during this quarantine period. Let us know your thoughts on it. We would love to hear what you are up to nowadays. Let's see here. Cheese on Everything says, whoa, you're not releasing a DJI Mavic Air 2 video. What's going on?
Oh.
We are not, but we'll be talking about it. Oh, okay. Well, we have a comment on the screen. Jason Boscos saw Danny's last video about taking a break. Hoping you find a good balance, man. I like your videos and your perspective. Glad Monday Live is back.
Yeah, I'm glad too. Thanks. Appreciate it, Jason. The other Jason.
That's something that I kind of wanted to talk about last week, but the Canon R5 ended up being the more important thing. Sorry, Danny.
We could save it for another. We could save it for another subject matter in a different video. Let's just save it for another day.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. Let's see here. I'll read off a couple more comments before we head on to new gear. Kane, great stuff, guys. Always dig your chats. What does the A7S III needs to have? We will talk about that in just a bit. Hang on tight. MBAC, another question. I bought a Weeble, however, connected with the 6400 USB, it loses face detection autofocus for video. Any fix for that? And does that happen to the A6600 as well? I suspect that it won't happen to the A6600 because the external monitor with the autofocus and everything works with the A6600. Just confirmed it this week.
It does.
Not going to be working for the A6400 though.
Right. So, right. You are correct. I'll confirm
unless you go back. If you shoot in 1080p, you get your face detection back. So that's the unfortunate thing.
Yeah, you got to go to the 6600 if you want that.
All right, so continue letting us know the hashtag new gear, hashtag quarantine gear, whatever you're using this week. We're going to start reading off some on the screen right now. Alejandro says, hashtag new gear, A7R4, baby. Welcome to the A7R4 club.
Did you get it at a good deal?
A7R4 right now.
Was it a good price? Was it a good deal? That's what's. I think it's a pretty pricey camera.
NeoGod29. I bought the 30mm 3.4 macro. Were you the one that left me a comment saying you were going to get that? I don't remember. Someone left me a comment. But congratulations. That's a fantastic little APS-C macro lens. I still have it. Haven't gotten rid of it yet. It's very fantastic.
It's been chilling in the cabinet, right?
Well, that too. Haven't really needed to try anything manual. Flancon says, I just got the XT4, Fuji XT4.
Nice.
Why are you watching this? We have no Fuji experience.
Let me get my
appreciate
Fuji,
your company.
Let me get my Fuji sticker ready. I just need to make one for every brand soon.
I'm seeing some Q&A. Let's save the Q&A for towards the end of the show. We're focusing on new gear right now. Mr. Camera Junkie says, hashtag new gear, the PZO MIKAR, I don't know how to pronounce that, 55mm 4.5 macro lens, Polish M42 vintage macro. That sounds really fancy.
I just don't know enough about vintage lenses. Just not in my arena, unfortunately.
I do want to play with it, though. Let's see here. Jim Penn says, hashtag new gear, Sony 100 to 400 G Master. Oh,
very, very nice lens. Very nice lens. I've since sort of retired it after my 400 2.8. but it's a great lens.
Little Red FB6. Hashtag new gear. Just ordered Atomos Ninja Inferno and some small rig gear. Just letting you guys know, the Atomos Ninja 5 is on sale for $500 on B&H right now. No affiliate links available, but you can go ahead, go to bnhvideo.com right now. I think it's on sale, unless it's gone now. But
wasn't there like a firmware? There was like a firmware update for that thing, right?
Yeah,
there was something.
It gives you like different crops, like 1:1, 4:5. You know, for Instagram shoots. It's pretty awesome.
Got it.
The Everyday Dad, hashtag new gear, bought a new what the heck, this guy right here, GH5? I thought you had it already. You were raving about it. Literally made a video saying it's the best camera you can get. What is up, gear of the week? Kyle Bender says, hashtag new gear, Sony 16-55 f2.8, loving it. Woo. Congratulations.
I still haven't tested that lens, though. Just got to test it out.
It's solid, Danny. I'm telling you, it's solid, dude. It's a great lens. Parsad, hashtag new gear, Sony 2-600G.
That was another one I wanted to test before all this stuff happened. I did have plans to test that one out, but
it is the perfect quarantine lens if you think about it.
I guess, but I did want to test it out for sports, for like baseball. It just has a really nice focal length for a baseball, softball, but just didn't get to work it out.
I got an idea for you, Danny. Why don't you just pull up an old sports video on your big screen TV, point the lens at it. We'll see how.
That's not a bad idea. I mean, hey, man, just because they'll give, you never know. Don't let anybody know about that.
That's a hot YouTube tip for you right there.
That's pretty good. Just got to get a really nice, just get an 8K TV so it looks pretty real.
8K TV. There you go. There's a reason for that R5 now. Let's see. Ario S, hashtag new gear, Zeiss Bodice 85mm with the OLED. That's dope best. Nice.
Yeah, man. I don't, I think there's still the sticker on it. There's actually a little film that's on there. You ever leave a little film on things? I don't know if mine still had it on there. I don't remember if it got taken off.
Gear of the week, hashtag new gear, unemployment applications.
Ouch. Oh, that's rough, man. That's rough.
We're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you. Oh, gosh.
This whole situation.
Oh, man. Thanks for sharing that. Let's see. We're going to read off a couple of more hashtag new gear for the next 2 minutes before we start the show. We got the poet. Hashtag new gear, the newer 700-watt professional photography 24x24, 60x60 centimeters softbox with the E27 socket lighting kit. I feel like you just went to Amazon and just copy that and just paste it to the chat because it has all the SEO from the store seller.
Hey, man. If it's what you need, it's what you need. If it's working for you, that's great. That's great.
That's good. That's awesome. That's a year. What you be using it for? Let us know. Photo Miak is in the house. What is up?
What's going on?
Sam B just got into the chat. What did I miss? You missed nothing. We're just doing the show.
You didn't tell him this was our last show again? Did you just completely miss it?
I'm sorry, dude. It's the last show, dude. MondayLiveRumors.com reported that. Mr. Camera Junkie, so much macro during this time. Yeah, macro photography is definitely ramping up a bit. I'm not participating though. Let's see here. Steven Marinka, hashtag new gear, Sony a6600 with the Sigma 16 1.4.
Nice.
Let's see here. Sam B. Rex says, hashtag new gear. Yeah, you tricked me. That's a question. That's not a hashtag new gear. How dare you? All right, I'm gonna blast through these last few. Rich, okay, Rich, you also fooled me as well. That is a question. Rick says 87. Oh my god. Okay, there's too much show going on. I'm running into the tricks tonight, Danny. Let's get on to the show.
Yeah, let's just get
on to the show. All right, so our first topic on the agenda is the mysterious Sony announcement that's supposedly happening on April 30th. And we're pulling up the Sony Alpha Rumors article. As you know, Sony Alpha Rumors is the most credible Sony Alpha news website to ever exist on this planet. That's a joke, by the way, guys. Please don't take me seriously. On April 30th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, so 7 a.m. Pacific, Sony will live stream the event that they have planned for the NAB show. And the article here tells us that we should not have too many hopes. This is a professional broadcast event, and we're likely going to get the 3 new Sony Cine E-mount autofocus lenses, and plus probably some new camcorders. So I think they were teasing the Cine lenses last year, I think. And that's pretty cool. Now the cinematography line, the bigger, FX9, FS7 line will have the autofocus Cine lenses. But I think a couple weeks ago, they've been reporting that there might be a new potential RX camera. But nothing on the A7 IV or the A7S III. Danny, what do you think, man? What do you think is coming out from this event? You think after the whole Canon R5 announcement that Sony might just say, hey, we are doing something, or are they going to go full-blown, guns blazing, A7S III, A7 IV, A9 III?
Okay, so I want to dive into this just a little more, but there was a point, I think, when the PS4 and the Xbox were being announced. We're going to some complete different direction here. Because here's what I'm trying to figure out. If Sony already knew they were going to announce X, Y, and Z, if what Canon did, do you think Sony would react to what Canon had just sort of announced with their EOS R5 and change exactly what they were going to say? So for example, let's say this live broadcast was already set to go. They're going to talk about this cinema camera. They're going to talk about this cinema camera or whatever. And then they're like, should we just toss in the Sony A7S III into the discussion? Whether it's an actual announcement for the actual camera or whether it's a development announcement to let us know, hey, it's in development. Obviously, these are all just like speculation at this point. But I'm trying to recall, there was a moment in time, I don't know if you remember this or not, or those of you in the chat, there was this point where I think the PS4 was coming around, the Xbox was coming around, and I think what's the latest Xbox? I really don't know the name. Whatever the latest Xbox is, not the newest one, but I think
you can tell we're Team PlayStation. Well, I'm Switch, but he's PlayStation.
Right. So on the Xbox, I think they were saying they were going to prevent you from sharing games or something like that. There was also a price point. So there was something about what Xbox announced, and then what happened was Xbox announced first at E3, and then Sony came up to announce, like I think either the next day. And Sony actually took jabs at the Xbox the following day. Whether or not Sony knew exactly the price point that they were going to make the Xbox at or whatever the features were, they did incorporate in their presentation, I think, to kind of hammer in and take a jab at the Xbox system with Microsoft. So I'm wondering, potentially, if there's any communication in those lines between the gaming and cameras or what have you, that they could be reactive to whatever Canon just did and made the announcement to the R5, and they could bring in something to get the user base to pique their interest. Now, granted, I don't know if you remember, Jason, but I think the A7S was announced at NAB in I think 2014. Right. So it's not, it hasn't happened before, an announcement for this camera. I don't think the A7S II was, but maybe you could see something happen at this particular announcement. It could just be a development. But I think at this stage, Jason, I think it could be important for Sony to mention something. To not say anything would probably be kind of like, I think it'd be a detriment, and this is my opinion personally, to sort of, I'm going to say the EOS R5 is a very appealing camera in terms of its specifications and as far as like when it's going to be released. So if Sony's trying to kind of push people's eyeballs back into Sony camp, they really should announce or mention something with regards to what is expected of this camera potentially. So we know it's not a unicorn camera. It's going to come out. We just don't know when. So
you think, okay, so I'm just going to throw it out to the chat. How important is it to you guys that Sony does make a response on April 30th? If this live stream goes through and they're talking way more than just cinema camera. And Danny, and you said they should make an announcement, right?
I think in my perspective on this, whether it's in the full announcement or just a mention of it, one or the other. At this stage of the game, either they're ready or they're not. And they've already seen Canon's hand. Like they know exactly what Canon's going to be bringing out soon. So at this point, it's like if they don't say anything, it looks as if they don't have their stuff together at this moment. That's the impression I would get.
Michael Policio says, I think Sony's always ready for anything. Just to like chime in on what you're saying, I think there's definitely they definitely have been holding back. That's just how we feel, right? Like that Sony has definitely held back with regards to this camera. That's what the rumors are saying. That's what we all are feeling. This camera should have been announced a couple years ago. Like the A7R4. Well, no, sorry, the A7R3. When was that announced? 2017. And we were led to believe that camera was coming out straight right after. But then the A7 III rolled in and still no A7S3. And now we're at the fourth iteration of the A7R. So I've been saying this in the past that, I'm fine with Sony taking the time to release this camera as long as they make it right. I definitely don't want them to rush this. So
But here's the thing, Jason. We're 4.5 years out from the A7S2 announcement. We're almost going on 5 years already. So it's been a while.
Right. It has been. It has been. And I'm not going to say, I'm not saying that I'm not impatient anymore for that 4K 60. I have been. I think I've gone to that breaking point when the 6600 came out. I was like, holy cow, when is this coming out? And I think definitely they are waiting for Canon to play their hands. And now that they are, wasn't there like a rumor saying that the announcement for Sony was going to happen the same day as Canon? I mean, again, it's rumors, but if they actually did have pushed it back, then they're probably just waiting to see what gets announced. So to me, it's not too important that they make any sort of announcement this time around. They can make, I hope they make some sort of announcement soon, maybe in May or June, but for them to make an announcement on April 30th, I'm not really expecting it. And the fact that Canon has been making an announcement, but not really having a camera out for anyone to play with or even out in the market at all, it's really hard to say, yes, this is the better camera at this point in time. It's spec-wise, yes, it's the best camera that we've heard of, but we just haven't seen it yet. We don't know what it does or we know what it does, but we don't know how well it can do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jason, I'm going to tell you, earlier today, I was looking at Canon RF lenses, man. I'm not going to lie. I am not lying. I was literally looking up the 16. Is it the 15 to 35? I was looking at the 70 to 200, their compact series. I was looking at their
20
50,
to 70 f2. Huh?
Their 20 to 70. I am not. Here's the thing. Here's my logic behind it. I was saying to myself, I was looking at the price points. I was looking at, okay, here's where Sony glass is. Here's where Canon glass is at. And I'm looking at price comparisons. And I said, you know what? If Canon, honestly, I'll tell you, if Canon did that same EDU discount, like that 5 to 10% discount, I would definitely consider a potential Canon move in the future. I'm not saying that's what I'm going to do. I'm just saying if I was coming back into this as a fresh slate in terms of me just still being with the Canon, if I was still Canon DSLR, I would definitely more than likely be considering a look at the Canon EOS R5. And I'm just being blatantly honest about it in terms of what they can do. Granted, Canon's been a bit slow. Okay, now they're coming back. But I'm still here's my thing though, Jason. I don't know if you agree with me or not on this situation here. Whether you bring out this ridiculous camera, EOS R5, 8K, 4K 120, crazy frames per second options, but if the camera is at the wrong price point, whether you're, whatever that price point might be, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, which I think is potentially going to be over $4,000 in my mind. I don't think it's going to pick up as many people that have already jumped into Sony, like the Sony A7 III for sub $2,000. I don't know if you get the point. The point. It's like, yes, it doesn't have everything, right? But it does a lot of things well at a good price point. And now Sony has those third-party options. They got Tamron, they got Sigma, they got quite a handful of folks making lenses for them. That they can still build an ecosystem that'll get the job done. And the folks that really, really need EOS R5 territory specs, I think they know who they are, right? They know who that particular target audience, and they'll jump in that direction. But unless there's anybody in the chat, anybody here that's like, hey, if the EOS R5 is about $3,500 US, would you consider leaving Sony? Just throwing that out there. Yeah, if you are a Sony user right now, and it's the EOS R is about the 5D Mark IV price range, $3,500 US when it came out. Would you jump ship and look at Canon at this point based on those specifications?
Or how much would it take for you to jump ship, right? Because
Right.
then we deliberated about this. We talked about it last week. It's just like how many people, like if the price point is high, how many people are actually going to be able to afford this camera? They may win in specs, but they may not win in the market.
Right. I mean, look at it. The Canon 1DX Mark III had 5.5K RAW, I believe, 12-bit or something like that. It goes up to 5.5. Ridiculous, right? But it's a $6,500 US camera, really up there in price.
It's high.
So, like I'm saying, like not everybody's going to go out and drop $6,000 on a camera to go and buy it. That's why I'm thinking that Sony did a really good job with the A7 III, and I think the A7 IV is probably a more interesting camera than maybe the A7S III. I don't know if that's what you're thinking, what I'm thinking. I think if the A7 IV can be a knockout of the park, imagine maybe they bring in some new flavor of features in there. That's just one little thing that they didn't have before. I think that could definitely play into it. So, there was something I did want to mention, Jason. There was another article that we were going to reference earlier about did Sony really not bring any new features to the Sony camera system? Because they were, I think, in this particular other article we were looking at, there was a statement in there from the Petapixel article about how Sony hasn't really innovated on the video side of things since like the A7S, A7R3 or A7S, the particular generation, right? But I kind of disagreed on that. I mean, Sony's been making efforts in the video side of things, maybe not codecs, but in terms of autofocusing. So,
yeah, I absolutely agree. Because then, I mean, yes, at the end of the day, we're still dealing with the same codec. We're still dealing with the 8-bit 420, but there are very minor video features. It's almost to the point where it's quality of life. It's not really like, oh, you absolutely have to have it, but hey, it's nice to have that little eye box when you're shooting video in 4K. Until that, if you're using an external display, it's not going to dim now. So these are like micro little things, but in terms of like just like the higher end video features, that's not there. But yeah. I mean, they have been supplying the high, like, if you think back about it, Canon took forever to do zebras, right, and peaking on their camera.
Yes,
it was hard because they've always have marketed their DSLR line to just be DSLR for photography, not so much for video. So now we're finally seeing these features. So I mean, the R5 is sort of becoming that mirrorless camera everyone was hoping that Canon is gonna output.
Right. I think, like I said, price point is going to be the big deciding factor in this whole thing. It could be an amazing camera, but if it's 6,000, who's going to jump ship anytime soon? So like I said, they're mentioning an EOS R6, Jason. I don't know if you saw that in there. So that's going to be another companion camera to it. Could be a lower price range. Who knows? Like the 6D or something like that. Right. Yeah. Now, if Canon's smart about it, hey, keep the 4K, maybe do 4K 60, whatever it might be, but keep a lot of that specs and then keep it within that lower price bracket. But here's the scary thing, Jason. What if their EOS R6 is their $2,000 camera? That's going to go right directly at that A7 line. So, if there's any point for competition right now, Sony, I'm really hoping they're going to flex soon, and we will see. Maybe April 30th what they're going to do. Yeah, exciting.
Like I said, I'm not too hopeful they're going to do anything for the Alpha line, just more so for their cinema line. And yeah, I mean, if the rumors back a couple of weeks ago saying it's going to be a new RX camera, I mean, I just don't have my hopes up. I'm trying to manage my expectations here, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And if not April 30th, hopefully the next couple of months we'll see something, to kind of combat the EOS R5 announcement.
Right.
All right. Anything else you want to add, Danny, or should we jump into the comments?
We can take a look at some comments at this point and see what people are thinking about this whole system.
Yeah, please feel free to, I know we've been kind of talking a lot and, I've seen like a flood of comments kind of went by. So feel free to repost some of the things that you've said. Let's see here. Kane01337, internal very ND filter plus decent codecs plus 4K 60 will be the minimum to keep myself under the Sony umbrella on the A7S.
I do want to mention that if there is an actual ND built in, that'd be amazing. That would be amazing. That'd be great. So it can be done. It can be done.
Not too hopeful. Give us the other stuff first. The ND filter I can wait, but you know the codecs and you know the internal stuff, like bring those in first. Just bring me those in first. Let's see here. Sam B Rex says to get the benefit editing 4K 60, 120, and 8K, better make sure your computer doesn't melt.
Yeah, I've got it. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm worried. I'm going to do
He's been
proxies.
ready to go.
Proxies for days. That's what I'm doing. Proxies.
But Danny, what if it takes you the whole day to render proxies? 8K.
I'm good, man. I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to break a sweat. I got that. We're talking about RTX later.
I don't know, man. I mean, considering summer is coming, your thing is going to be screaming off the top of its lung. You're going to be melting in your room waiting for that 8K to finish proxying. Anyways.
You know, I got the, by the way, I had the AC on. It's a little warm here. My PC is a little warm, so I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried.
We got our AC fixed the other day, so ready. I am ready. That's I'm not sweating anymore. I was sweating for the past 3 lives. Let's see here. Fuego Images. I wouldn't consider the new Canon because of the total cost of ownership is just way too high. Okay, realistically speaking, I can go with the A7R3 and Tamron lenses, end up spending half the money that's going with Canon. I think he also made a mention. I'm still a Nikon person, and I wouldn't consider the camera because of the cost of their lenses. Sony and Tamron lenses are the way to go.
But see, here's the thing. That's how Sony was too. It was a big steep price when you first joined it. It took time for all those other lenses to come around. But granted, don't forget, I think the adapting of the actual Canon EF lenses are still not a bad option. If you have EF lenses, adapting it's still not a bad option. I think the autofocus is still a decent performance. I could be wrong. It could have gotten better. Could have got worse.
I haven't tested. I don't know. But hey, again, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, think about it. Like if people who are going to be buying this camera are doing a lot more cinematography work, they're used to manual focus lenses anyways. And hey, adapt that EF to the RF system and boom. Wow. 8K with the already ready to go cinema line that you have.
Yep.
Photomic. The R6 is probably going to meet more needs than the R5. The R5 is likely a flagship and an overkill, and the R6 is going to be the A7 III killer. Well, it should be. The A7 III has been out for 3 years now, so it has to kill the A7 III now. No doubt about it.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? The A7 III is the benchmark camera to beat. I don't think anyone's come to it. So the R6, well, I'm not sure on the Nikon side. I've been keeping up on the Nikon side, so I'm sure Photomic knows what's going on that end, unfortunately. I haven't looked into that, so I don't want to.
Gotta stop throwing Photomic under the bus.
I don't want to make those claims because I don't know about the Nikon side. I mean, Photomic is the guy with the Nikon. Okay, he knows what's going on with the Nikon.
Please subscribe to Photomic for all your Nikon needs.
There you go.
Rodell Photo. The R5 is going to be somewhere between 3 or 4 to 5K, right above the 5D Mark IV.
Yeah.
Sam Bertoluzzi. Canon has a lot more hype with the R5. It's difficult to trust Canon with so many years of cripple hammer. Canon's focusing is still not as fast as Sony, and Canon's silent mode is not near the A9. Armando Ferrero likes to know your location. He's always saying that Pixel AF is it's amazing. It's better than Sony.
You know, I would say I still think the Sony autofocus is faster than Canon, in my opinion. I think. By the way, look, I'll just, that's my feeling about it. I haven't tested it necessarily. I think the EOS R was the last thing I tested, but in terms of sports autofocus, like moving subjects, I feel that video wise, Sony's up there. But who knows about this new EOS R 5 or 6?
Matt Gray, I am disappointed that it's taken Sony so long to deliver after the A7 III launch and set to expect more. While I want to jump ship, I'm too invested into the E-mount to change away from the A7 III and the A6400 combo.
That's the one thing I gotta give it. Go for it, Jason.
And I just want to throw it out there. Just a question for everyone in the comments down below. I know I kind of asked this in one of my previous live shows, but how many of you guys are more photography first and then video? So how important is Sony, this A7S III with all this thing is important to you? Like, let us know in the chat. I mean, I think for the most part, anyone who's doing photography right now, they have their needs covered if they're shooting whatever, and if they're in the Sony cam and Sony's delivering, I think whatever their photo needs has already been satisfied. It's just for more us video or even content creators are just itching for that 4K 60.
Right.
cheese on everything. People think that the R5 is the killer. I actually think the R6 will be the silent killer. If they just make the 4K 10-bit 1080p 120, that already kills Sony because of the Canon color, flip screen, and lens.
I'm not going to lie. Those are very appealing features. That's the reason why it's a very appealing system.
No,
it's just price point.
And it's very exciting. It's definitely the most exciting thing and the most shocking thing that, you know, Canon has done in a very long time with the respect of their DSLR / mirrorless line. Okay. Let's see here. PhotoMeX, the native Nikon and Canon adapter world just as well if they have the native lenses themselves. Wait, did I read that right? They work. Oh, okay, they work just as well as the native lenses themselves. People are so used to that crappy Sigma MC11 adapter. That's why they doubt the native adapters. I mean, it's not just... Actually, I find Sigma MC11 adapters with Sigma lenses, of course, to actually autofocus better than using a Metabones back on Sony.
Right. So, I agree with that.
That's just... Yeah.
But I will say from my experience, when I was mounting the EOS-R with the 70-200 Canon EF mount with the EOS-R, it did work well. It felt like a native lens. It did feel like native lens. So those native ones are really good. Just checking in with PhotoMeX on that.
Do you think? Oh, that went away. Sorry. We do have a super chat donation really quick that we want to read off. Aram V 199. Thoughts on the Zcam E2 F6? I never got a chance to play with it. I know a buddy of mine just went up, so I definitely want to try it out. It's a nice little compact cinema camera. Danny, have you heard of the Z6 cam?
I've heard of it. I have heard of it, but in terms of details, I just don't know. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. We'll try it out. Ken Moser, I think the key to the market is 2K full frame body. Pros will spend for the flagship. Market share comes to about 2K point. Reasonably priced glass to support the body is key.
Right.
So, I mean, if people were to jump back to Canon, or even, you know, it's going to be expensive regardless, right? Even if you're stuck in the Canon camp waiting for Canon to do something, I mean, again, I can't really, coming from PhotoMeX saying that the adapters do work well, but what if it got to the point where the RF native glass, it just outperforms the EF adapt? It's going to be hard for some people to switch over. More expensive. Not hard, but expensive.
Right. But I think the adapting situation would stall them, right? So they can slowly progress to those higher end RF classes if they're better for the system. But in the intermediate...
But what I'm saying is, pricing wise, I'm saying pricing wise, because then people are obviously, there are some people in the Canon camp that's hoarding their lenses right now. It's just like something's coming, but yes, you might still have to buy the lenses.
I don't know. I'm saying I think they're okay for the time being. They could jump to the EOS R6 or the EOS R5 when they come out, depending on price point. And then, like I said, they could slowly sell off their EF glass and just go to the native RF glass over time, if that's the case for them. So
yeah. I mean, it would just be like Canon users selling their stuff for the Sony glass. It's going to be that way regardless. So whatever camp you're going to be in, you may or may not have to get rid of some glass. I think if you're more of a photographer, you might have to get rid of glass. If you're more of a cinematographer, you're fine. Let's see here. Is there any more comments on the screen? How you feeling, Danny? Should we read a couple more?
I think it's time to move on.
Okay. All right. I think we've concluded on this topic. And if you have any questions, save it for the hashtag keyway. That's going to be happening in about 15 or so minutes. We're going to be tackling some other news topic for now. Yongnuo, Danny?
Okay. We'll take a look at this one next. All right.
Okay. So, and does anyone remember Yongnuo? Or has anyone ever heard of Yongnuo?
I'm sure everyone
moving on
has.
To the next topic here.
Yes, it's moving
Yongnuo, according to Cinema 5D, Yongnuo YN mm f 1.8 S DA DSM.
Fantastic name.
That was Those Amazon titles, dude. Sony E-mount lens for the APS-C introduced. The Yongnuo YN 1.8 is a new sub $100 APS-C E-mount lens from Hong Kong-based manufacturer Yongnuo. Yongnuo has been making very affordable Canon and Nikon mount lenses for a number of years, and now the YN 50mm 1.8 is at its first for Sony E-mount. The pricing hasn't been announced yet, but expect to be selling under $100. It's intended for the A6000 series as well. Oh wait, no, yeah, it's intended for the A6000 series, and it features a stepper motor drive, hosted DC motor, and promises fast start and stop response, high focusing accuracy, and quieter focusing action, according to Yongnuo. So I haven't gotten a chance to play with any of the Yongnuo lenses, but I have used Yongnuo Flash, which eventually got usurped by Flashpoint/Godox. But they were one of the more affordable Flash options, and I know they kind of jumped into the lens market with the 50 and the 35 for Canon.
Yeah, their 50 was really their go-to thing, and I remember that vividly because, well, it's crazy. Here's the crazy point, right? The Canon 50 f1.8, the plastic fantastic, or the nifty 50 as everybody called it, great lens, cheaply made, but it worked, right? Very noisy lens. And you had Yongnuo come into the market, and I think they offered it at they made their own copycat version, and it was going for about 50 to 60 bucks. So if you are really on a tight budget, you wanted to get a cheap DSLR and a nice 50 just to mess around with a prime lens, it was a really fun option to do. Just to get a 50 f1.8 to just get you going. I think that was a great option. They also did a 35 f2, Jason, a 35. They also did an 85 f1.8, or if it was a 35, I don't know, 85 f2. I don't recall exactly. But I think their 50 was probably their best variant. And I think they actually did make a second 50 f1.8 that was much smoother because it made a lot of noise, their first gen one. And then they copied, I think, the STM model that Canon released, because Canon released a second 50, the Canon 50 f1.8 STM that came out after that. So
yeah, I think a lot of people were definitely knocking on the image quality as well as the performance when they first came out, but it's to be expected for almost a fraction of the cost that you would pay for a Canon equivalent, right? So have you experienced any of these lenses?
Like I was saying, the 50 was great. The one that I had issues with was the 85. I actually bought it to just to get a feel for it, because I was looking to see if that was something I wanted to get for my class, as far as like Canon lenses, a cheap alternative. The 85 Canon, the 85 Yongnuo just wasn't a good lens. A lot of fringing, and the autofocus just wasn't really good compared to the native Canon 85 f1.8, which is an amazing lens, by the way. For those that know about that lens, it's a great lens. But the Yongnuo just didn't do a good job from the 85. So, but speaking about this 50 though, Jason, I think they do pretty good with the 50. They're using that stepper motor, so it's going to be quieter. And if it's going to be sub $100, I think it might be something interesting to look at potentially. I don't know yet because it's not out yet. But what are your thoughts on a sub $100 50mm lens for the A6000 APS-C?
Is there another lens out there for the APS-C that autofocuses right now?
No.
For Sony?
Because
right now the Sony, at least whoa, oh my god, the Sony is $350.
Right, for the f1.8 optical steady shot one, right? The one that's stabilized. You're talking about the one that's stabilized, right? And then the one that's a full frame, the full frame 50 is about $250, I think, right around that price point. $199 to $250. So I'm saying this sub $100 is a perfect gateway drug into that prime lens for people that just want a nice prime lens. I don't know about nice yet, but again, just a fun prime lens with autofocus just to start messing around with the system. Because look, if you picked up the A6000 with the kit lens, let's say, for example, 1650, well, now you can try tack in a better low light performing lens. So if it performs well, people say it does a decent job, it might be a good option to look at. And hopefully we might see some more options from Yongnuo. Granted, again, they're not going to be the highest quality lenses out there, but hey, if you're on a tight budget, you just want to get started, I think this might be a winner right here. So those are my thoughts on it. I don't know about everybody else, but
yeah, let's pull up some of the comments up. I just really want to say, like it will, I guess, will bring that 6000 back to life well, I mean, it's not dead, but it's going to bring that 6,000 into more hands with now that there's more options. Because it was a struggle for me and Danny to always recommend Sony because of the glass. It's just like, well, you want the autofocus, you get the autofocus, you know,
Right.
and you had to shell out some of the dough, and you got Sigma coming out with some of the more affordable options, but even then, $400 a pop for a 16 1.4 to 30 1.4, 56 1.4 is like, that's still a lot of money. You're thinking back to, at least when I'm thinking back, when I'm just like fresh out of college, I'm just like, wow, I don't have $400 for this lens, even though it's quote unquote the more affordable options in the market right now. So it's going to be great for folks that are coming into the 6,000 camp,
Right.
Even 6,100, 6,400, and just looking for like a lens that will get them by. I think it's going to be good.
It's just at that right tipping point just to get their feet into it if they're just starting and they want to mess around with it. And they don't want to spend so much money. If it's the gateway for them to get into other lenses, sure. But it's just a great stepping stone to have them start messing around with other lens choices, I think, in just the beginning.
I just honestly think they should have went for the 35 first, just because that 50 may be too tight for some beginners. I mean, if they know full on that's just like, okay, this is going to be a great portrait lens, and know that it is going to be tighter than what they're going to be used to, they roll out with the 35 first. I think that would have been a better option, giving that 50 millimeter look, like I talked about in my video. That's 50. It's going to take some people back, but hopefully this is going to be a direction where, hey, in a couple months down the line after the 50 millimeter, maybe no longer than a year, hopefully they'll roll out with a 35 for the APS-C Sony crowd.
I would say, Jason, on the other end, I do like the 50 instead of the 35, in my opinion, for the APS-C, only because I think as a gateway, it really blows out that background. And I think when you're just starting out, when you get that nice bokeh effect, and that a lot of kids, when I'm working with them, I usually have them on a 50 usually at some point. And they really like that out of focus look that they get in their shots when they're just starting out. So like I said, they could have a 35 out soon. Who knows? Maybe if this goes well, maybe they have a 35. So we'll see what happens. But it's a win for everybody. I don't see anything wrong with this at all. So it's a good option.
Ken Moser, great beginner lens. The new Kit 18 to 135 just wasn't fast enough, and the Yongnuo will bridge to something like the Sigma Primes. Yep. Exactly what Danny says. Is going to be a great little gateway to the rest of the gateway to gas heaven. Just come on in and join us and buy all the lenses. Photo Miyake says under $100. I'm too bougie for that. Next. Mitch Rico says obviously not for pros, obviously. I think there's a pretty funny comment that Jim made. Yongnuo sounds like a young rapper. Up and coming, you know what I'm saying? Chinese New Age music artist.
Wait,
man.
Isn't there like a tag that all the rappers use now? God, I don't even know what's going on.
I don't know.
I don't know. Young Money or whatever. There's usually a first a prefix or something like that. Whatever it is, I don't even know. I don't want to say anything. What's going on?
Yeah, Yongnuo here. Getting that 50 millimeter one. I don't know. I can't rap. Let's see here. Kavit Tech says, nah, man. 50 millimeter is love on my 700D. 85 millimeter look. Absolutely. Yep. Been using it for 5 years now, though I use a 28 millimeter equivalent to complement it. Very nice. Anything else? Nope. I think we're good. All right, Danny, let's move on to the next topic.
I'm good. What do we jump to next?
Anything you want. I think let's focus on a little bit of tech.
All right, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens, Jason. All right, so
we're trying a little bit something new today. All right, folks. Yeah, so you feel free to let us know if this is something that you want to keep hearing, but we're going to throw it out there. So please be patient with us.
So Jason, everyone's kind of in a quarantine mode. Notice how we're doing a little podcast here. We're having to talk to each other. Every now and then we had to deal with background noise. I don't know if people have been hearing, you watch people on news, you notice that they got little kids running in the background. You got vacuums going around in the background. And maybe you want to spice it up, make your production a little bit more professional. Maybe you've got a laptop with apparently an RTX graphics card. Maybe you're fortunate enough to have one with an RTX graphics card in there. If you don't know what a graphics card is,
right here.
AMD. So get this. This feature isn't brand new necessarily, but it looks like, let me just pull this up here. There we go. And let me resize it a little bit. Sorry, guys. So, how to enable the RTX voice on any NVIDIA graphics card and why you should. I won't read in everything here, but AI has found a happy home in noise suppression apps alongside Chris. Now, this isn't the first time it's been done. There's something else called Chris that does this, which recently made its debut inside Discord's voice and video settings. NVIDIA is now slinging its own application, RTX Voice, a microphone and audio output sound suppression app powered by your RTX 20 series GPU's AI capabilities. Now, I don't go into all the detail here, but the main thing that's doing, Jason, the main thing that this graphics card and the feature that they're doing is that they're isolating noise or using AI, I suppose, and removing that audio source. I watched a few videos on it. It was because it was piquing my interest. There was folks that had vacuums literally like right next to their microphone, and it was actually removing a lot of that noise. So they were able to talk, and the actual software was able to determine those noises and remove them from the dialogue. Noises in the background, clapping noises, even typing noises on the keyboard. Like you can hear my keyboard
Mechanical
right now, right?
keyboards.
Right, gone. So again, not a new concept, but now if you have an RTX graphics card, there is a firmware update that you can run, I think, studio drivers, and you have to run another software tool in between it. So you got to run your software tool in between like OBS or something like that if you're using another sort of tool in between. But you run and you apply it, and it does some noise suppression, and it's able to sort of remove it. Now, granted, I'm sure if you're an audio engineer, you know a hell of a lot more than I do on this. I'm not. But point being, it's just another opportunity. If you're using new software tools and you have those kind of computers with that option, I would definitely consider it if you want to increase and improve the production sound that you're getting from your recordings. So especially if you're doing a lot of live conferences or live communication.
It's just weird they're limiting to the what is it, the RTX, GTX, RTX line.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the more higher end graphics card. And believe me, I'm like I'm surprised that a graphics card can do audio suppression. You know, you wouldn't think that. I'm not much of a big computer person, so hearing this is just like odd news to me. But that's pretty insane to have that AI capability from your GPU to suppress that audio. I feel like it's going to be hard for a lot of, I guess, your average everyday people to like have to run an additional, program just to suppress that audio.
Right.
But there have been rising complaints on at least on Reddit from what I read, that people who are in Zoom meetings don't mute their background TVs, and it's just really distracting on meetings. So hey, if those folks, I'm just saying, if those folks can't even turn on their TV, I don't know if they're going to run that RTX software.
No, but here's the thing, Jason. The target is actually because they were mentioned like Discord, for example. Their target audience is a lot of these gamers who already built PCs or they have pre-built computers with really good high-end graphics cards. And it runs through the gamut of RTX cards, so 2060, 2070, for those of you that are like, there's different price brackets, obviously, for these GPUs. And so for those people that are in that particular environment, that's why they brought this out for those particular people. But it can trickle out to folks like you and me, or anybody else that does content creation or live production or demo teaches or does anything like this, if you want to knock out that background noise. Now, I haven't done it yet. I'm probably going to look into it probably within this week or so, give it a shot and try it out. But hey, I mean, if you already have the hardware for it and it's just something that can help you with your production, I would just consider checking it out. So, but yeah, it's look up RTX and noise suppression with microphones. It's crazy.
It's definitely catered to, content creators, Twitch streamers, and I think having something like that would be pretty cool. Good thing I'm in an environment right now where it's not like a whole lot of background noise, but maybe someone who's in New York in a more busier part of the town, busier part of the city. I mean, it's just great that something like this is coming. So
no,
awesome,
it's
awesome.
And another thing I want to say is that they say it's only RTX graphics cards, but I think if you have GTX cards, you might have to do a little bit of research, but I think you can actually still run it in there. It's more of a driver issue. And I think obviously NVIDIA wants you to use it on their newer card series because they want you to spend money. But I think just do some research. I think there's some ways to get it to work on your GTX variant graphics card, like a 1070, 1060, something like that. They're pretty much very similar. So I think there's a way to do it, but just look into it. If you have the graphics, like I said, it's free. So maybe there's a way for you to get it to work. So there you go.
Very cool. I'll just read off a couple of comments just so we can round out this topic. But someone did bring up that we forgot to talk about the Mavic Air too. So we'll hop on over to that after this.
Okay.
Let's see here. Jim Penn says, so would the RTX remove sound from my wife yelling at me? Is that another lens? Hey, maybe. Let's see here. Cheese on everything. What? That's insane. I have the RTX 2060 and an Asus Strix 2 Hero laptop, although the camera on the laptop sucks. But hey, good to know. Ken Moser says, same technologies as your Sony earbuds, Jason. Thank you. Vivian didn't want these anymore, so I stole it from her. You guys didn't hear that. Oh, see, that noise suppression already worked. You didn't hear what Vivian said. Matt Gray says, Jason is right. If people don't know how to keep their environment quiet to begin with, they don't have RTX, nor would they even think about it. I think once it gets more integrated to the software, because you said there are software based that are going to start with that noise cancellation, right?
There's already an option. There's already a service called Crisp, and I think you can already do it. Here's the thing, though. I totally agree with that. That right now, if people don't know how to do some control in that, they're probably not going to be able to pull it off. But I think because of all of this that's been happening, there's more and more people that are diving into this particular world more than there ever has been. And so the interest to sort of build out more higher quality production is going to start growing. Granted, Jason, I don't know if you remember, but remember how all the capture cards disappeared off the internet? It's hard to get microphones. Whatever these tools might be, gone or very low in supply or very expensive. Trying to get a cam link is like $400. So there is a growing segment of people that are going to start looking into improving their productions. So, but yeah, I totally agree with the whole aspect of folks in general are probably not going to be doing this specifically at this time.
Okay, awesome possum. Apologies for skipping over the Mavic Air 2. Just so you guys know, we did not anticipate for this to be in our show notes. But Danny, you wanna jump onto this topic with us?
Yeah. Do you have like a link? Do you have a link for it?
Oh, I didn't post it. I thought you put up the B&H, but here, let me paste it to the article.
Well, I can pull it. I can just pull it up on my screen right now. There we go.
Updated. Right. Oh, okay. All right, you got the product page going. We got.
Is that it? No, that's DJI Mavic Air 2. That's the new one, right? Am I wrong?
Help me out here, folks. That's the right one.
That's the right one.
Anyway, we're not big drone people, but we'll talk about it. Anyways, so this just announced apparently during our Monday live. Dang, people stole our thunder of the show. Anyways, just announced DJI Mavic Air 2 up your game with DJI's latest mid-range zoom with flagship features. Okay, mid-range drone with flagship features for the best value in DJI's lineup. Let's see here. When the Mavic Air was originally released back in January 2018, it was a legitimate game changer. Let's see here. There's a lot of things right here. Newish and improved. One of the things you should know about the Mavic Air 2 is that it isn't a revolutionary as its processor. It doesn't need to be. In many ways, the original Mavic Air was all about changing what we thought was possible with the camera drones. And okay, well, where's the specs, Danny? I'm just like reading a lot of
all right. So spec wise, if we're looking at here, Air's giving us key features: 8K hyperlapse time-lapse video, up to 4K 60p video, 48 megapixel images, up to 34 minutes of flight time, remote controller included, which I'm glad they do that. You know, I'm not going to lie, Jason, and the price tag right now is $799. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. I'm just wondering, it's a completely different battery, huh? Is it a completely different? It looks like a completely different battery.
I think so, Danny.
Yeah, let me jump to the specifications here. Let's see. That doesn't help me at all.
I should have been reading this one right here. I should have been reading this one right here. It's 3-axis gimbal sports 1.5-inch CMOS sensor. So it's a little bit bigger, right, from what it was before. 1 over 2/3. Now it's 1/2.
Okay.
Capable of capturing all that good stuff. 240p slow motion 1080p video, up to 48 megapixel stills, and all your footage can be saved in 8 gigabyte internal storage with an optional SD card, 256 gigabyte in size. Dang! Have they done this before with any of the other drones with an internal storage of 8 gigabytes? We followed the game for a while, so we have to apologize, folks. But
I think they've had. I could be wrong.
I did get the Mavic Pro 2, and I don't remember it doing that, and I had to return it because of some defects. But as far as I can remember, I don't think it had that, and it really sucks too, right? Because sometimes when you start taking off the drone, and you're just like, you can't record because there's no SD card. So I'm glad they have this sort of, backup fail safe kind of thing. Like, hey, even if you get your drone up, you've got to put your SD card in there, and you really needed to get your shot. 8 gigabytes.
You heard what they said, right? SD cards, not micro SD. SD cards. Am I wrong on that?
Oh,
even better.
Okay. Well,
even if it's an actual SD card, even better.
Yeah. Cheese on everything just debunked me. He said the Mavic Air does have the 8 gigabyte. He just confirmed it.
Okay, cool. You know what's funny? I was supposed to, was it last year? I was taking this panorama photo of the seniors, and I was using a drone to get this particular shot with the drone. And you know what happened? I totally forgot the card in there.
This is the Mavic Pro 1, guys.
I'm telling you, this is the DJI Mavic Pro, right? So here I am. I'm getting ready. It's really important. All the kids are all set up on the bleachers, and I got to take this shot. The reason why I'm using a drone was because later on we were going to take a drone photo from above. So we're going to fly it up and have the kids make the number 19 or something like that on the football field. But anyway, point being is this: I was getting ready to take the photo, right? And all of a sudden, I'm like, it won't take the picture. And I realized there was no card in there. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like at this very second. So what I ended up doing was I ended up just using my A7R3 at the time. And I put it on a monopod. I lifted it up super high, used the Wi-Fi app on there, and took the photo. And it worked just fine. Woo! And by the way, it was a better option anyway, because the resolution was much higher at 42 megapixels to begin with. But it was just something I wanted to try. But anyway, there was another photographer there. So he helped me out. He let me borrow his micro SD card. And we were able to take the other photograph we were supposed to do, because we were supposed to do an aerial photo of all the students from on top of the football field and everything. But I remember that it was the worst. I was just like, where's the SD card? Where's the micro SD card? So that's great. That's great.
And I just pulled up a very handy website called pocketlint.com, and it kind of gives us a comparison, so it helps us understand. So design wise, Mavic Air 2 is, I guess, slightly bigger than the previous one, and it does weigh a little bit more, coming in at 570 grams. Both for photo bow, Mavic Air is available in multiple color, whereas the Air 2 is gray. The Air 2 does have a bigger sensor, 48 megapixels, as opposed to what it was before, 12 megapixels, 1 over 2/3 inch CMOS sensor. Air has the 4K 30, whereas the Air 2 has 4K 60. Everything is literally double in terms of frame rates. Same 3-axis gimbal on both, but there's a new smart photo mode on the Air 2. And there's, I'm guessing the Air 2 has better obstacle avoidance because it has the APAS 3.0. I don't know what that means, but which means that you're flying the drone forwards through potential obstacles, and it can adjust its path to fly around them instead of just stopping dead end. That's pretty cool. It's particularly useful if you're flying low over rocks and perhaps through the trees and low to the ground. Why do you guys have to tell me this? I don't want this drone, dude. I don't want this drone. Mavic Air 2 obviously rocking the bigger battery, 3,500 milliamp battery as opposed to the 2375 before. Wow, Mavic Air only had 21 minutes of flight time, but now the Mavic Air 2 is 34 minutes. I believe it's like the same as the Pro 2. I don't remember. Both max speed at 68.4 kilometers per hour or 42.5 miles per hour. Wow, and both had when the Mavic Air launched, it was an $800 price tag, and now we're seeing the same $800 price tag for the Mavic Air 2, and it is still way cheaper than the Pro and the Zoom version of the Mavic 2. Danny, is this something that you might consider?
I was
upgrading?
Looking at it. I would only consider it if it had if the megapixel was much higher, because I think the Mavic Pro that I have only does 12, and I wanted something with higher resolution for those certain photos. But it's looking like the effective megapixels is 48, but it does some pixel binning, so it cuts it down to 12. So you're still getting technically that 12 megapixels frame of resolution, granted more detail. So it piques my interest, but I'm not the customer for this. I'm not like running out there. I'm going to go ahead and pick this guy up or anything like that. But it does pique my interest.
Yeah, I am definitely, we fly drones for weddings, and sometimes, I want to fly drones for travels, but it's just with regulations and everything, it's just it just becomes so much harder to fly a drone. So at this point in time, it's like not worth it. I do like as someone who's like, ooh, like RC stuff, hell yeah, let's bring that in,
Right.
But I don't know. Vivian says she wants it. I don't know if we're gonna get it, maybe just to play with it if we can get our hands on it. But for the most part, if I were to fork over money, if I had to choose, right? If I want just a simple flying RC drone, not simple, obviously, with the whole 8K time lapse and 4K 60, I'm actually gonna rather consider this over the Mavic Pro 2, just because I don't need all the bells and whistles. I think at this point in time, we do have a professional drone that we fly for weddings and stuff, but for simple stuff, just for funsies, yeah, maybe this is a good one. But I don't know if anyone out there feels the same way. I know it's kind of hard to purchase anything new during this quarantine time, but let us know in the comments down below or chat that if the Mavic Air 2 is something that, it's worth your time, worth the upgrade, and it's something that you might pick up. Eli just dropped the comments saying, oh, sorry, go ahead, Danny.
Oh, I was just going to say, man, this thing's already out. I mean, you can start pre-ordering it now. It'll start shipping Monday, May 11th. So that's not too far off. So it's already kind of ready to go.
Let me just get my credit card. Eli says drone have really died off in my opinion. They really don't excite me like the original Mavic Pro which I still have. I would say I would agree. I think like drones themselves doesn't have that big of hype anymore. Is it still useful? Absolutely. But in terms of just getting into the regular consumer's hand, it's just like, yeah.
The one that did pique my interest was the mini ones, because I think there was like an updated DJI Mini, and it sort of fit in with a lot of those regulations in terms of size and not having to necessarily like have to get it registered in some capacity. It has to be registered, I believe, anyway. But in terms of where you could fly it, it opens it up more. I think I like that kind of concept more in terms of its use cases.
Yeah, but it just makes more sense for us, right? And by the way, when I say regulation, it's also besides the whole size and the altitude and all that. It's more so like you can't really fly it over people. And I've tried flying drones in places. I always get shut down. I could be a rebel and still fly it anyways, but it's just not worth the hassle. So it just really has to be like a very specific thing I would have to use it for. Cheese on Everything says, as someone who travel vlogs, I went from P4 to Mavic Pro and sold it off for the Mavic Air. The most important thing for me is the drone to be inconspicuous. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in that case, it definitely makes sense. Cheese on Everything says, the Air fits my small PD camera cube with the EOS R and 2 full-frame lenses.
Oh, I had to sneak in the EOS R.
I think you forgot to mention the R5 as well as a couple of Sony cameras. The DJI shoots 4K at 60 frames per second. That it does. Again, it's a much smaller sensor. I mean, like a lot of these action cameras, phones even, they can shoot 4K 60. For them to write 4K 60 into your card, even 4K, I don't think they will. Well, I guess phones do break a sweat if you try to record a long 4K video. But for the most part, these tiny cameras dealing with that smaller sensor size, less heat. So, yeah. Okay, I guess that's it for the Mavic Air 2. Danny, should we start queuing up for the hashtag QA? I know we ran a little bit longer tonight.
Yeah, let's start doing that. Let's start getting those queued up.
We'll tackle maybe one or two more of the news topics, but for the most part, let's get hashtag Q&A up and going. Let us know what kind of questions you have. Doesn't have to be anything we talked about today. It could be camera questions in general or anything about me and Danny. We are not obligated to respond, but hey, ask us anyway. Danny, what else do you want to tackle for tonight?
Oh, I mean, it's in your ball, like your territory.
Oh, Lord. Okay, well, let's see here. I got nothing.
I mean, we could just talk about some other tech topics, or we talk about the camera sale decline. Jason, what do you want to do?
Camera sales decline. Okay, we can talk about it. We'll see what affects us. CIPA reports, this is from Petapixel, CIPA, I don't know what that stands for, shows camera sales fell off a cliff in March. And there's a beautiful picture of this Canon 5D Mark IV just hovering in the waterfall. That just gives me the heebie-jeebies right there.
Is that the Mark IV? It looks like a Mark III.
Oh, yeah, then the sacrifice is well worth it.
Or maybe
right on cue, the CIPA has released its latest report showing how camera shipments in March were affected by the rapid spread of the coronavirus and the economic shutdown that followed. No surprises here, the numbers are grim. In keeping with what we saw in both the BCN and the Stackline data, I think the more important thing to note here is that in the Japan mirrorless camera sales has dropped 50%, and in the US it has dropped 64%. Showing a 53% drop in camera shipment overall and 58% drop for interchangeable lens and camera. So you can see here in the graph, in the previous years, 2018, they shipped over 1.8 million units. 2019, they did 1.2 and 1.2 million. And 2020, we have a very low 597,513 cameras. Is this what is it? Shipment? Oh, this is just based on shipment only.
Right.
When it comes to total shipment of interchangeable lens camera, it is a still very shockingly low. So 2018 is 971,000. 2019 is 648,000. In March, it is 278,000, way less than half of what the numbers were. I mean, like, already the camera market is declining when it comes to buying something like this. The mirrorless stuff, dedicated camera has been declining for years now. And with this whole impact, it's just...
Right.
It's
definitely
really impacting sales.
I mean, I would say a fair point would be to look at the January sales in this case, because obviously because of the particular circumstances that we're in now, it's definitely impacting the sales of actual camera equipment and everything as well. So if you look at it in January and February, though, we've seen nearly a drop off of 675 down to 446,000 units. So there's been a big shift in terms of sales from 2018 to 2020. But I think that trend, Jason's, been pretty noticeable already. But definitely for sure, the impact of the, what they call it, the COVID, has actually really impacted the sales in March, I would assume. So that's a pretty big steep drop. If you're just looking at the particular March timeframe, that's pretty substantial.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see here. There's not much to say. As Canon pointed out its own financial report yesterday, COVID has definitely changed the economic landscape, and luxury items like interchangeable lens camera. Cameras are not high on anyone's priority list when meeting expenses like rent, utilities, food, and healthcare, as is a real jeopardy for tens of millions of people across the world. I mean, there are people buying cameras. I mean, I just sold a camera. A couple people have reported that they have been buying cameras. So people are still buying cameras, but it's just going to be a lot harder. I think it's already hard for some people to buy something like this. But
yes.
The decline is definitely there. It just so happens that these numbers are drastically low in comparison to.
So my question for you, if we wanted to talk a little bit more, do you think that could have been a lead in as to why some of these manufacturers are targeting the high-end market a little bit more in terms of their focus? Granted, we've had this conversation before in terms of sales, where do you think what sells for Canon are the Rebel cameras, or is it their higher end that makes them more money? Same thing with Sony, for example, right? So Sony's really targeting, has been for the most part, been targeting the higher end market. But when we look at the EOS R segment, it's all full frame. It's pretty expensive glass, Jason. I mean, for the most part, for their particular end, obviously they have no third party, a lot of native third party options at this moment. But I'm wondering if that's the trend on these camera manufacturers are trying to get a higher margin of sale with their higher end full frame products. So.
Absolutely. I think it's gonna get to the point where it's just like enthusiasts, right? I mean, it's at that point right now. It's just enthusiasts are just like, hell yeah, I want that new A7S III. I want that R5, but you're talking to kids and you're talking to the mass. And they're just like, I got my iPhone SE right here with the iPhone 8 camera. Good enough for Instagram.
That's perfect. That's all you need.
Hero Shot says cameras over healthcare. Priorities.
Cameras every time.
All right. Let's go ahead and start throwing some Q&A on the screen if we can, Vivian. and we'll start tackling them. Gummy Bear. What are your thoughts on the rumors of the A7 IV having vents? I don't think it will have vents.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It's too ridiculous for a consumer level cam.
I think I would say the A7 IV would be more akin to what the A7 R4 is in terms of design. So I don't think we're going to see vents. Maybe the A7 S3, but A7 IV, I would say no.
Moving on. Alleviation, hashtag Q&A. Ronin S or Crane 3 looking to start shooting some video work. Either or. I know a lot of people who've gotten great results with either, so you can't really go wrong. I believe there is a new Crane 3 out in the market right now if you want to check that out. But yeah, I think the Crane 3 is going to handle much heavier setups if that's what you're using. Ronin S is still going to be roughly around, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I still like it feels more mirrorless 24-70, but not so much of the hot, like heavier stuff. I've seen people balance like 400 millimeter. Was it Make Art Now, Josh? He balanced a 400 meter on the Ronin S. Could definitely make that possible. So
yeah, the Ronin S is really nice. I have that one. That's really good.
Yeah. All right, next one. Eric McKay, what are your opinions on the Sony 35 1.2 for Sony? I haven't gotten a chance to use it too much, but it's a behemoth of a prime lens.
Okay, me neither. I gotta check it out at some point. I haven't used it.
Junior G, best affordable prime lens. If you're talking about APS-C, I'm gonna say Sigma.
Yongnuo 50 millimeter f1.8 DCSA CAP or something like that.
I'm sorry. Come back with some more specification. We'll help you out there. Next question. Per Anderson, Sony's medium format camera with a curved sensor. You think that will support FE mount? Ooh.
Well, it's a medium format. It's a medium format camera sensor. Will it support the FE mount? I mean, it's a larger sensor, right? I mean, if you're putting an FE glass on top of that, you're not really taking full. Unless there's a point of it I'm not getting. Unless the idea was to use a curved sensor to get a medium format look with the full frame, the FE mount system. If that makes any sense, Jason. They're just curving it, so you're getting a larger sensor, but they're using that curve to use that FE mount on there. I don't know.
We're not too. We draw the line at full frame, so it's just medium format, something that we don't really pontificate about. But yeah. Next question. Trevor. Hey, Jason, I'm back. Still looking for that second lens. Do you think I should get that 40 millimeter bodice or the 85 millimeter, or maybe even what was the first lens again?
Those are some very different lenses. I mean, I'm just looking at the choices right now. 40, 85, and 35. That's a very diverse set.
Yeah. If you have something wider, I would say like 85. If you want something that's drastically different, like add almost like 30 to 50 millimeters. So it's like a huge, not even 30, maybe like 50 to make it like a completely different look. So let us know. Come back with what was the first lens? I'm so sorry, I forgot. Next one. Alex Sandoval, where do you sell your Sony lenses camera bodies? I need to sell my 85 1.8. I like to sell. I've been getting some luck on Facebook Marketplace, but for the most part, I deal with Craigslist, and I try to meet during the day in a very public area. And it's always good to accept cash. I'm not sure if you're comfortable accepting cash at this moment in time, but that's what I generally do. I have sold a camera a couple weeks ago over eBay. I don't want to see how much chunk of percentage that they've taken, but that's also another safe bet that you can look into. But Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace would be you're going to have to weed out a lot of people that are trying to lowball you, though. So just a fair heads up.
I've done eBay and some photography forums. That's usually where I go to.
Sam B, do you guys think R5 will cannibalize the 1DX3 and the Cinema lines? I think there's going to be some. I think there's limitations with the R5. Enough, like maybe not a huge limitation for just people like us who are using the camera, but for people who are in that cinematography line of work, there's has to be a lot more going on with what they're doing with their cinema lines that people are still going back to. Otherwise, they would have been eaten up by like mirrorless cameras right now. So there is something with cinema lines that they're doing that is still absolutely necessary, vital to have. I'm not going to list out everything because there's going to be too much, but I don't think the R5 is going to cannibalize the cinema line.
I think the 1DX is a completely different animal. It's very sturdy, well built. It's designed for some really bad abuse. So photojournalism, sports photography, and really adverse conditions. I don't know if the R5 would sustain itself in that particular regards. But as Jason was pointing out, the cinema is always geared differently. I mean, think about it. They had the Canon C300 Mark III just announced, and along with the EOS R5, and it's like it's weird because of the sensor size, right? Super 35 and whatever the megapixel range is, the C300 Mark III does not even have 8K. Yet the EOS R5 with its mirrorless body size coming in with 8K. So, but the C300 Mark III has all these other creature comforts that folks that are working in cinema need. So I would say there's some blurring in the process, but I don't think it's really going to necessarily replace it anytime soon or like right away.
Excellent. All right, next question, please. AreoS, if you saw the 50mm 1.4 Zeiss for $800, would you pick it up? There's one available, and what's the original price?
I'll say 1,200. I don't know for sure. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh wow, it's 15. Yeah, pick it up, man. $1,500 versus $800. If you're talking about the Sony planar 50mm 1.4 ZA lens, full frame, yeah, absolutely. It's way sharper than the 55-1.8. There's difference in that, but it's a pretty big lens. So
yeah, I think when I tested it out, it was a very nice lens. Just make sure that you check and make sure it's all good. just make sure you check it.
Next question. We're gonna blast through a couple more questions for the next few minutes, and we'll wrap up the show, guys. Killer number one feature, quality to keep you in the 7S land or the R5 tempting you too much. There doesn't have to be any feature. It's just going to be not very feasible for me to switch into a different camera system. I would just wait at this point if they don't come out with anything that competes with the R5. But if they're going to pull a Canon and they're like waiting 3 to 4 years before pumping something out, then I'll consider it. But I think they will come out with something within the year.
I would say Sony release a firmware update, give everybody 4K 60p and all the other cameras they have already. Call it a day.
That is a that1cameraguy SR6 rumor right there.
If they could pull it off, like all of a sudden A7 III, A7R4, A9, A9 Mark II, I mean, that'd be done deal. Stick around.
Next question. David, my fiance got her stimulus check and is wanting to jump with Sony on me just for photography. Should she start with the 6100 or the full frame A7 II?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I go with a 6100. I don't want to be like gendering cameras, but I feel like the female crowd would like the 6100 a little bit more. But speaking from a tech perspective, 6100 tech kills the A7 II. You're talking about 4K, you got 4K capability. You got the crazier autofocus, better autofocus in every regards. So tech-wise, 6100 is a much better option. Save that money and get the OSS lenses, though.
I'll give a counter argument. I think the A7 II is a better choice if you're trying to stick with that $1,200 price point. If you can get a used A7 II for around $600-700, which I'm seeing it pop around every now and then, pair it with the Tamron 20 to 75, maybe potentially you can stick within a little past the budget of your stimulus check. If you go with the A6100, yes, you are going to get a lot of creature comforts, which I completely agree on Jason on that part. It just depends on her kind of mode of shooting. If she's going to be just shooting casually, I think the full frame might be a better choice. But if you're going to find that she's wanting to do a little bit more playful stuff like video, wants more flexibility with photos, A6100 is the way to go. So you kind of got to feel it out, in my opinion. That's just my take on it. A7 II is still a good camera if you're just wanting to go full frame and test out Sony system. So that's my take.
If she likes taking photos of animals though, because I love taking photos of animals. Animal eye autofocus. Oh, done deal right there, man. That's worth it.
It's all about the
Next
bokeh.
question. What if you get bokeh and animal eye autofocus? What then, Danny?
I mean, I'm just throwing my 2 cents.
Treva says Zeispot is 40mm was the first lens. Ah, okay. Kit lens. Yeah, I know they're different. Guy the camera source saying the 85 is too tight, but not sure. It depends what you want to do, right? You got the 40, great, fantastic. I feel like the 85 would be the next kind of pairing, I would say. I kind of like that to go. You got mid-range and you got telephoto. In terms of it giving you a drastically different look, I would say, yeah, it's not too bad. But I like the 85 a whole lot. So if you want my pick and you're only giving me that option between 35 and 85, don't go with the 35. It's too similar to what you have with the 40. Go with the 85.
Unless you sold the 40, you went with the 35, then you picked the 85. But right now, 85 is the way to go if you're looking for another lens.
Yeah. All right. Let's throw up a last question if we can. And we'll wrap up the show. Okay. Kane Zero Elite says, what does Vivian think about the R5? Can we expect the A7S III versus R5 shootout between Jason and Vivian? What do you want? What do you want from me? She's outside. You should write your opinions in the chat. She doesn't have a mic. Okay, awesome. Guys, if you guys didn't know, we do have a Monday Live dedicated channel. So if you guys, happen to miss what we talked about today, that's whatever we talked about will get uploaded to that channel, and you'll find that link in the description box below. And subscribe, show your support. Me and Danny are definitely trying out a lot of different things with the Monday Live podcast. We may have some stuff. We don't want to promise too much, but for the most part, we'll have bite-sized segments of like little topics that we talked about. So if you don't want to watch the full hour long, there's an option for you there. But if you want to watch the whole podcast, there's an option there as well. But we highly encourage you guys to always come back to the live show just so we can read your comments, hang out, chill with you guys, and just have fun with these camera tech news topics. That's what we're out here for, having a good time. Hopefully this is not the last show.
Who knows?
But hey, one quick thing though. I don't know if we mentioned this while we were talking about the Sony announcement, but it is 10 a.m. Eastern time, which is 7 a.m. our time, me and Danny's time in the West Coast. We were planning on doing a live show, a live stream for whatever's happening with Sony, right?
Yes, Thursday.
Okay. All right. So this Thursday, if we can get that live stream working, you'll see us on. So hopefully you guys can join us. Just come check us out, and we'll react to some Sony news, or maybe not.
Will it be as good as the Sony A7 III Luxor announcement?
Nothing will compare to the A7 III announcement, where me and Danny were just giggling like schoolgirls. But hey, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this Monday Live, and we'll see you next Monday Live next Monday, 7 p.m. PT. See you there.
Peace.